You know, I had a thing written up for the beginning of the video, but it doesn't really work anymore because I made the death battle fan slash shipper video. So um, unfortunate. Anyway, what's going on, chat? I had a lot of ideas for videos that I never actually committed to outside the freaking death battle shipper one. There's a good bit. I had like almost fully edited a Homestuck headcanon voice video, and then didn't put it out because I forgot to add captions, and then before I could add the captions, CapCut got banned in the US, and then it came back, but by the time it came back, I had deleted it off my phone, so all the progress was gone, because I thought it was just gonna eat up space. That was a tragedy. But considering that and the concept of this video, you can probably tell that in the time I've been gone from doing major video stuff, I got into Homestuck, if you couldn't tell. There's people outside my dorm room being weird. Anyway, I read Homestuck, and the journey was weird. I started it near the end of September 2023, like a week and a half before Beyond Canon came back, because my friend, Mr. Man, was reading it, and then he finished it, and then he really liked it, and then and then he was talking about it, and I got interested in it, and then the Vriska universe meme happened, and then it just kind of took over my brain forever, and then I read it, and then I finished it, and yeah, I think Homestuck is really good. You should go read it if you haven't already, because I think it's good, and I think it's something that pretty much everyone should read. It's awesome. It's great. It's saved my sanity from going insane. Really good. So to honor it, I'm going to do what I do with everything. Blend it with one of my biggest brain rots of all time, that being versus shenaniganery and death battle videos. Because honestly, why the hell not? The concept of the video is honestly pretty simple. Just go through a bunch of major Homestuck characters and give them matchups. Just like Nemesis was doing in like 2021, 2022. Should clarify, it's not every Homestuck character, because there's some things that just like obviously aren't going to really have much of a matchup presence, like the sprites or the felt or like random one-off side characters. Well, not one-off, like random sided joke characters like Arcdude Salamander, whatever the frick his name was, even though he was goated. And yeah, just give the matchups. At first you think this is hard because not many people have actually read Homestuck, and the matchup pool is pretty not good because of the lack of people who have actually read Homestuck and know things about it. But in execution, it was about that. It was really painful and really hard because no one frickin' knows anything about these characters, because there's like 10 people in this community who read Homestuck. It wasn't until like 2024 when the matchup pool for Homestuck just got better, because frickin' people actually read and finished Homestuck and thought of stuff that was like actually good, or went back to like fix the stuff that was bad and make it good. Which brings us to now, where I did a lot of things. I had to make some stuff, or stuff I'd already made, or stuff my friends made. I should not be recording this in a college dorm room. There's so many distractions outside. Point is, I made a thing, and that's what this is. If you are a death battle fan watching this, hey, go read Homestuck. It's really good. It only ever becomes more relevant as time goes on and the internet becomes a major part of people's lives. It's very good, and chances are, if you're watching this, your ass is terminally online and you'll relate to like half the cast. If you're a Homestuck fan, hey, go check out Death Battle. It's super fucking wacky, zany, and insane because that's how our power scaling works. But it's also really fun and unironically some of the best like indie animation you'll ever come across. And I mean that wholeheartedly. If you're a fan of both and you fall into both groups, y'all, we need to do better. Some of these matchups are not good and they're the only things that people have. It hurts my soul. It hurt my soul making this, but I was able to do it. The economy is not as bad as it was before, but it's still not that good. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Enough stalling. Time to get into the Homestuck matchups. About 5.5 minutes into this Homestuck matchup video. All things considered, John's matchup spread isn't even that bad. He's got Ness Earthbound, which kind of speaks for itself. If this is like one of the first quirky Earthbound inspired things. He's got Sora, which is also pretty cool. The vibes are hard. He's got Battler Shiromia from Umineko, which I don't really care for, but my friends care for it, so I'm shouting it out in this video. And he's also got Gwenpool, which, weirdly enough, is really freaking cool. Probably is like my favorite idea that isn't the one I picked. And I'm not going to act like the thing I picked for this video is going to be anything other than versus Vriska Undertale. I don't need to explain this matchup to you. It's freaking, like, Like, you look at it, and, like, you see, yeah, I get that. As of now, it's currently my favorite versus idea, my most wanted episode. I love both a lot. It's cool. It's very good. They can have the immortality off of you can't kill me. Actually, I can. Actually, you can't. With the whole freaking god tier immortality paired with Undertale resets and save states. And like, come on, man. It's John versus Vriska. I don't need to explain it to you. I'm not gonna waste time explaining it to you because like, you see it and like it just lines up. They're the quirky Earthbound inspired things that reshape the face of the internet. Also, Toby Fox is there. Like come on. It speaks for itself, and because it speaks for itself, I'm gonna move on. Cause like, again, like what more do you need to say about this idea? It's fucking Vriska versus John Egbert. Rosalind, that's a fun matchup pool in the sense that for years, she had one matchup, and it was Marisa Kirasame. Marisa Kirasame is a boring as fuck matchup for Rosalind. It wasn't until recently that Rose got an actually other matchup that didn't suck. And it's one that I don't even like that much, because as a concept, I just don't really care that much about the series pairing. That being said, the idea is still pretty good. Rose versus Angie, I don't know her last name, from Umineko. I don't know the connections off the top of my head, and I don't have them in front of me. Oops, editor me slapped them on screen right now. It is pretty good. I just don't really care for Meenah. But Rose has a matchup that doesn't suck. Anyway, Dave Strider matchups are actually like pretty decent, all things considered. He's got Arthur Boyle Fire Force. He's got Axel Low Guilty Gear. All pretty cool ideas. Not about either of those. Today's about Dave versus Trunks Dragon Ball, baby. Let's frickin' go. Let's go. They're cool. They have swords. Something about time. I know realistically and thematically speaking, Dave Sprite makes more sense, but this isn't about Dave Sprite. Get him the fuck out of here. This is about normal Dave. Let's frickin' go. Let's fucking go. And also a neat thematic comparison that I find nice in their mentor / oddly weirdly parental figures who have very important deaths because frickin' the death of Gohan serves as a severe motivation for Trunks to go stop the androids and helps him build as a person. Meanwhile, the death of Bro doesn't really have a major impact on Dave as a person until later on when he like starts really reflecting and realizing that Bro was a very abusive and traumatized him a lot, and that resulted in him building his layered in 15 levels of irony persona, which is a neat contrast in Trunks' appreciation for Gohan and the lessons that he taught him, and Dave's complete apathy and weirdly potentially rooted fear of Bro, which resulted in him building a trauma response personality. I don't know, it's just something to think about that I think is pretty neat. Also, Dave would 100% call himself the drink, and you can't tell me otherwise. Jade Hurley is the best beta kid. Despite that, her matchup spread is still a good deal less good than her brother's. Sad. Fortunately, there's one that I think is pretty neat. And this also gives me a chance to shout out one of the few people in the Deathbell community that actually knows Homestuck. So shout out to you, Ninja Monkey. When they start dropping their cool shit, go support her stuff. Go support Ninja Monkey. She's super cool. Anyway, Jade Hartley versus Madoka from Madoka. There's a lot to this thematically, apparently. I'll slap it on screen again. I tried watching Madoka. I got like 4 episodes in. I wasn't feeling it. I should probably try it again. It doesn't take that long. You know, from what I know and from what I've seen, the vision is there. It's really cool. It's fun. I thought it was just like they're the funny, happy, quirky witch girls. No, it turns out there's weirdly more to this than just that. It's cool. I didn't think it was that special at first. And even then, I still feel like there's probably better you can do with Jade. But still, it's a really fun idea. It's very nice. Shout out everyone involved. I don't know where I'm going with the rest of this. Jade Hartley, funny, go play her Pester Quest route. Anyway, it's time for troll matchups. Aradia Megiddo, she has one matchup, and it is Sakia Izuyoi Toho. They are indeed maids of time. That's it. That's really all there is to it, and somehow I'm pretty sure it's Sakia's best idea. That being said, it's fun. Aradia would be a fun on the show. She's a fire character. Tavros Nitrum. Okay, so you know how I said it was hard to find matchups for a lot of characters? This is a pretty good example as to why that is. Tavros is a character that just in general really shouldn't be in versus power scaling shenanigans. Because yeah, there's an interesting analysis there, but what animation potential do you have with Tavros? I'm in a wheelchair most of the time and have robotic legs. I don't even know how to use the best every other time Nitrum. With a total of 1 fight that gets him immediately killed. It was hard, but ultimately, I was thinking back to Nemesis videos because that's kind of the whole vibe, inspiration I'm going with, where when you really couldn't think of anything, you just threw on a random shitpost idea because it was fine enough. So that's what I'm doing here with Tavros Nitrum versus Denji Chainsaw Man. Me when I get manipulated by women over and over and over and over again. I made this and thought of this before the new chapter for Chainsaw Man dropped, and the weird fucked up thing happened. That was not my intention, but you know, that happened. No, I showed this to Mr. Man, and he told me that I can't keep getting away with this, and you know he might be right. Solix versus Alan from Smiling Friends, because Alan from Smiling Friends is my headcanon voice for Solix. I didn't have an intro to this because what the fuck are you going to talk about for Solix captor matchups? I don't fucking know. He doesn't have anything. Car cat matchups exist now. He's got like one, and overall it's pretty good. It's Church versus Red versus Blue. This was Mr. Man's idea, who is going to be getting multiple shoutouts throughout this video because I've spoken to him a lot about this. And you know, there's a lot. I'll flap all the thematic stuff on screen because it's really quirky. But there's one I won't because I'll say it out loud, and it is that it's the red team versus the blue team, and that's really cool. It's just really fun. It's cool. I feel like the way you do this fight, I feel like the play is to just like lean into the fact that both kind of fucking suck. Like Carcat is not good at fighting. Church cannot shoot to save his life. So you just like have both of them failing to kill each other, and then fucking have the comedy play off that. You know, it'd be fun. It'd be cool. It would be entertaining if they get the characters right. It would also just like halfway through just evolve into both of them yelling until eventually just like try to kill each other, not because they're like fighting each other because they're too in depth, but because they're just annoyed at each other. There are doors closing. Anyway, yeah. fun thing. Nepeta is a character pretty much all of my friends burn out over, even though most of them haven't even seen or read anything related to Homestuck. Anyway, Nepeta versus Taukaka. They're cute, funny, quirky cat girls. That's it, and somehow it's one of the better ideas for both. I mean, you have the criticism of Nepeta matchups, in that a lot of them should play into the chronically online shipper thing, and pretty much none of them do that. And if you want that, Zoe Monster Prom, boom, there you go. But either way, it would be really funny if Dear Sweet Precious Nepeta got on the show. Please, Ben Singer, get Dear Sweet Precious Nepeta on the show and have her attack good. Kanaya Mariam is one of the few characters that actually had a matchup before I started doing this thing that, made sense. Unfortunately, there's a very, very, very big and very glaring flaw with it. But I'll let you figure that out. I'll just throw it on screen right now. Now look, I get it. They're fashion lesbians. They have the same general vibe. Rarity's voice actor works as like a headcanon voice for Kanaya. Please explain to me how it's not jarring to have an MLP character fight someone whose main weapon is a fucking chainsaw. Like, that's gonna bring back, 2010s MLP memes in the bad way. And was why it's not good. Someone please give Kanaya a better idea. She needs more. Terezi versus Godot from Phoenix Wright. I don't know, I thought of this like a year ago, I want to say, and thought it was funny, so it's here now. Vriska Circuit. Okay, let me ramble a bit about Vriska. If you couldn't tell from my profile picture, I might be a bit of a Vriska fan. Or like a Vrisresi fan in general. Well, it goes a bit deeper than that. Vriska Circuit is my favorite character ever. Above every other one. Not just in Homestuck, period. And of all of them. She was part of the reason I read Homestuck. All of her moments made me actively enjoy Homestuck more. Because the scene she was in, she was just so easy for me to freaking love. She was so awesome. And it's gotten to the point where I've adopted her typing quirk. You can probably see in the frickin' description of my video. You probably saw in my other fucking shipper video. You probably see it in me. And if you've been around me, you know I've been typing with frickin' 8s. If you don't think that's enough, here's photo evidence of me doing it months ago. So it really pained me that after finishing Homestuck, I didn't really like any of Vriska's ideas, and they weren't really that good, or at least I didn't know anyone who could explain them well. Luckily, time passed, and people read Homestuck, and people fixed things. And now, ideas that she had before that were alright, but didn't actually have anything elaborated on, or good elaboration on, were, given that elaboration. And new ideas were made that are also pretty good. And she's got a few. I'm gonna rapid fire a few. She has Fuko from Undead Unluck, which is pretty cool. I don't really know much of Undead Unluck. I only saw the first 8 episodes, but I get the idea because they have the same ability and Luck's removal, despite them being different. It still makes sense. Nagino Kameda, which is thematically the best one and perfect. It would be a 10 out of 10 idea if Nagino could actually fight. She has frickin' Erika Furuto Umineko, which I've established before. I don't like the idea of Homestuck versus Umineko, even though this idea is pretty good. It's the only one I actively don't want Death Battle to do because of the combination of Homestuck versus Umineko. I don't really like it, and Vriska is my favorite character ever written. And she also has Kumagawa, which is honestly just really freaking awesome. And today, as of recording this piece of audio, I learned that Haruko Fulikuli actually works due to the freaking influence and impact that Homestuck and Fooly Cooly had through their like funny meta narrative stuff, and also just being absolute massive jerks. So she has a good spread. But there's a personal favorite that I have, made by my friend Mr. Man, because of freaking course it was. And that is this one. Masato Kusaka, aka Kamen Rider Kaisa. Unlike other ideas where I've just slapped a thematic thing on screen, I'm gonna read this off because I want to. Two ambitious, manipulative, overly controlling antagonist figures who, despite being pretty bad, are weirdly enough hanging around the main characters and act heroic, but despite that are very much not good and more often than not villainous. Yet despite it all, it stems from a lot of deep-seated trauma and need for validation, which, while not justifying their actions, makes them more understandable, spiraling them into the weird moral complexity of understandable but not acceptable. There's weirdly a lot to them, but if one thing stands true, they're two of the worst fucking people on the planet. And either you love them for it, or you hate them for it. There's no in between. If you want to know more, ask Mr. Man. I haven't been caught up on Fies, I just ran it by him and fact-checked it. And he seemed to think it was fine. So here we are. Thematically, does everything I need, no doubts. Fight-wise, it's also pretty good. Homestuck and Kamen Rider fights are like very stylized and have a lot of like stimulating visual stuff going on. So like pairing them together just is a perfect recipe for awesome freaking vibes. I know Fies is a lot more grounded from most other Toku. I haven't seen all of it, but from what I have seen, that does stand true. But honestly, I feel like it still pairs well with Vriska, because most Homestuck characters they can work at any skill you need them to, for the most part. And like, Vriska has like, you can count the amount of times Vriska fights on one hand, and not all of them are like super big, wacky. They're either alt timelines or post-canon, where she gets like super crazy and like more out of Kaisa's league. So I still feel like you could make it more grounded and balanced and still have it fit both characters. Like, Lord English has one fight in all of Homestuck, and in that fight, he is more grounded and on a lower scale than Hulk versus Doomsday. Like, I'm not even joking. Banter and dialogue would also be pretty slick. Vriska has just like this massive ego and a massive like cunty attitude, and pairing that with Kusaka's I actively do not care about your existence and you being here is a blight on the earth vibe would be great interaction-wise. I always just love the idea of Vriska fucking around with luck simply to just like both hinder Kaisa in a fight, but also to kind of annoy him because she's a bitch like that. So eventually Kaisa just gets so fucking mad that he just punches Vriska in the face and then knocks her out, like in the freaking retcon timeline shenanigan. That would be funny. Overall, I just think it's a cool idea, and one I feel like is held back by people not really knowing much about either, or at least like one series included. Like they know one series but not the other, or they just flat out don't know both at all. Granted, that hasn't stopped this community before, but still, I digress. Ultimately, yeah, it's still pretty good. It's cool. If you have an issue, chances are there's a workaround, and if you don't have an issue, then you see the vision. That's awesome. Anyway, let's move on. Equius versus Skips. They're big and they're strong and they like women. Equius doesn't have any matchups. How could you tell? Random question. There are 3 characters from Homestuck that have a notable matchup presence in the Death Battle community and have like a matchup that is like relatively popular. Would you have assumed one of those people is Gamzee? Honestly, probably. Sometimes it's easy for me to forget that he's like actually a super notable fandom character. Anyway, it's fucking, let's go. Tricky the Clown versus Gamzee Makara, baby. Let's fucking go. Me when I'm an insane clown. Me when I'm fucking crazy. Me when I kill people. Insane clown posse, let's fucking go. It's the epic web content clown killers. Let's freaking go. I don't have much to say. I don't need to say much. It's frickin' Tricky versus Gamzee. It speaks for itself. Tricky, go kill Gamzee. Gamzee, don't die. Make that fun dynamic happen. It would be really fucking funny. It would be awesome. It's cool. They're dicks. So my friend ended up a Pfeffery fan, and out of nowhere, he just kind of like thought of a Pfeffery matchup. I assume either because he had finished or was wrapping up finishing Kamen Rider Ryuki, but out of nowhere, he thought of Pfeffery versus Kamen Rider Raya. I don't really know what it is thematically outside water, fish, and like pink. Even though Pfeffery's fuchsia, but like still fits, I guess. I don't really know what to say on this one because I don't really know Raya or this matchup at all thematically. But you know, it's here for Scribble. Hi Scribble. Hi Scribble. Hi. Also, Pfeffery is the only Homestuck troll that has blatantly outer statements, meaning she's the strongest one. Okay, Betaverse done. Time for the alpha ones. And wow, oh wow, was this actively harder to make? For some reason, people just kind of didn't give a shit about Act 6 and onward when making Homestuck matchups, which is really funny considering, you know, it's half the fucking webcomic. But to really put it in perspective, there are only 2 characters I knew that had matchups going into this from Alphaverse. Dark and Meenah. Everyone else didn't have anything. So I had to search far and wide, make some ideas myself, and a good amount of these are just bits because I couldn't actually find anything. Needless to say, they're struggling, which is why, again, I need to call upon y'all to help make stuff, because what do you mean, like, the 3 of the alpha kids, 3 of the alpha kids don't even have decent matchups and didn't until, like, probably a couple weeks ago. What is this fucking economy? Jane Crocker versus Susie Kirby, something about Big Corpo and parents. I made this idea at like 1 a.m. and looking back on it, I can't even figure out what I was going for. And I know both and I don't even know the connection to this. So if you also know both and can figure out the connections, please string together a core theme because I can't. Jake English versus Scott Pilgrim. Weird explanation, but let me try. Super dorky nerds who are lovable but also kind of really suck, and a major part of their stories is learning to suck less and, you know, not be a dick unintentionally. Their love lives are terrible, play with people's emotions but they don't really know about it. Like they know but like they don't know. Like they accidentally play with others' emotions and it's like distressing to others even though that's not their intention. It's also a gamer versus a film nerd and that's funny. It's hard for me to vocalize. I will probably get better at that after I read Scott Pilgrim, because I have all the books like right next to me right now, and I'm hoping to read that soon. Wouldn't bet on it though. Well, I mean, you can bet on me reading it soon. Vocalizing connections, I'm not sure. I've just never been good at that. Dirk Strider versus Blaze the Cat. Dirk's matchups range from this to Gideon Graves, Scott Pilgrim. And even though I haven't read Scott Pilgrim yet, I know Gideon Graves. It's not a good matchup. But this one is kind of alright. I do like that it plays into the whole alt universe thing, because like they're like the heroes from the alternate dimension with similar personalities, from like the weird counterpart stand-in for the cool kid. Even though if you want to get into semantics, Dark isn't actually alt universe Dave, it's alt universe Bro, just end up stand-in for Dave, but you get the idea. And not many ideas for both do that, at least from what I've seen. And I think it's interesting to lean into that aspect. But there really isn't much else to say because it's mostly just like purely based on vibe. Like thematically there isn't much to it, even though it would be pretty cool. Yeah. Roxy's matchup is by far the single most thematically appropriate of all the ones I'm going to disclose here. Because it's non-existent. Yeah, Roxy just doesn't have matchups for whatever reason, which is weird because she's one of the most important characters in the narratively and also like super freaking popular. Like, I never met someone or seen anyone, like, diss Roxy Lalonde. Everyone freaking loves her. So I have no idea why the frick she doesn't have a matchup. I assume it's because there's just no one like Roxy. But I think that's stupid. She should have one. She's awesome and she's important. But I literally couldn't find anything except for one. But that matchup is Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. A matchup that's really, really, really fucking bad. And I'll give you a hint as to why it's bad. It's a bartender versus an alcoholic. So you probably, know why I don't want to add it in here. Leaving me with literally nothing. If you look up Roxy Lalonde matchups, you just get Rose versus Marissa, which again we've established is not good and is also a completely different character entirely. So Roxy has nothing. This part of the video is going to be a dedicated cry for help, because Roxy needs a matchup, she deserves a matchup, and it should be a good one too, and she doesn't have anything. Help the Rogue Avoid get the matchup she needs. And you want to know why I need this? You want to know why I need this specifically? Because freaking, you know how I had this whole ramble about Vriska being my favorite character ever written and how she meant a lot to me? Yeah, the only character that has come that close to me for like Vriska is Roxy. Like after I finished Homestuck, I had to sit down for like 5 to 10 minutes and really think about if I liked Roxy more than Vriska, and I ended on no, but just barely. And after doing Pester Quest, I also freaking still love her. She's amazing. She's like that gap is closer, and it's look, I need a Roxy matchup so bad, man. Give us the Roxy matchup, please. Someone out there, help me. Meenah versus Vegeta. This exists as an extension of the similarities between trolls and Saiyans, which I'm going to list off right now. There are two human-like alien species themed around aliens and have funny name quirks that are extremely savage and brutal. They live in a society very much based around classes of royalty, where the low class is seen as a weapon as war and fodder, and also the higher class are just seen as superior species, both on the field and just normal everyday life and culture. They're easily the most iconic thing to ever come out of their respective pieces of media, so much so that the people oftentimes skip to their introduction and leave behind a pretty important chunk of story. Not to mention the amount of OCs and self-inserts people have made about them as the species, or OCs people have made for the species. Yeah, this is the prince and princess of those respective races. If there's a theme to them specifically, there's the contrast of Vegeta having to go through an entire character arc to respect someone of a lower class, while Meenah just kind of saw like a low blood kid with an undisclosed blood color and was like, hey, that kid's really cool. I should let him lead my army. So I guess there's that. I mean, you wouldn't really use Meenah in verses, I guess, unless you count her harming Lord English that one time as outer-versal, but nah, it's a matchup. It's good enough. Vriska versus Aranea. Who would really win? Look, if I'm gonna be real, no one could figure out anything for Aranea, so Mr. Man just threw this out there as a joke, and I'm running with it. All of the dancestors versus all the avatars. All the previous avatars. I'm gonna be real, no one should put dancestors in a versus setting unless it's Meenah or Aranea, because they're the actually relevant ones. And because of that, you couldn't really think of anything, and it would be really stupid and bloat the video if I gave a matchup to each one individually. So I'm just pairing all of them together and pairing them against all the previous avatars and calling it a day. I don't care. Alright, that's all the Alphaverse stuff done. If you couldn't tell, that took a lot out of me just to figure out. Now we move on to evil-ass antagonist figures and the characters heavily associated with them. But before I do that, there's one character that I need to show off because there's no other natural place I could put him, so he's going to be here. The Mayor versus Kara, because frickin' they're the voice in your head telling you all the stuff. They're the narrator, kinda. Yeah. Okay, it's time to get back to real matchups. White Diamond versus Her Imperious Condescension. So this one came about because Mr. Man was watching Steven Universe. I'm not going to stop name dropping Mr. Man because it's very important to the existence of all these matchups. Anyway, we were talking about Steven Universe because he was watching at the time. And then while we were yapping about Gem Society, it made me realize how weirdly similar it is to Alternia, in the sense that, like, your fate is determined by birth. Like, your purpose is driven by who you are at birth, and it's a weird matriarchy with deep roots into color, weirdly enough. There's, like, the multicolored diamonds with different, like, Yellow Diamond is very based on, like, physical body stuff. Blue Diamond is very based on emotion. White Diamond is the weird mind thing. I don't remember what Pink's would be specifically, because blue is also emotion, but, like, Pink is, like, emotion but more. It's weird. And then also, like, you know, the frickin' blood caste system. I don't know, I thought this matchup was funny and moderately entertaining. There is the issue of White Diamond being way fucking bigger than Condis, but Condis is also part Lord English. You could probably figure out a way to work it around that. The Midnight Crew versus the Ginyu Force. If you're wondering why I'm not doing that thing where I talk about a character first and then go into their stuff in depth, is because I've run out of characters where I can actually do that. Anyway, this idea is really funny. My friend, not Mr. Man, it was actually Nix who thought of this one. And I don't know, I thought it was funny. The vibes are very much there. It's cool. It goes hard. It goes so hard, they call it Go So Hard. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Okay, so it turns out I was lying about that thing I said before, because there actually is a character with multiple matchups, an actual matchup spreader I can go over for a bit, and that's Noir, baby! Let's freaking go! He's gonna sweep Ugfad if he actually wins the poll. Maybe he might have won the poll, I'm not sure. Maybe that's out by the time the video comes out, it probably isn't. Wow, his matchup spread is, it definitely is. There's Kefka Final Fantasy, there's Sephiroth Final Fantasy. Those are good, but they don't really hit the same note in my brain that, like, others could. There's Necron, which is boring, and Superboy Prime, which treats Jack Noir and Becquerel as the same person, as opposed to one person with subtle influence from the other. There's also, what's it, fucking Annihilus? Yeah, there's Annihilus, which personally I think is just boring. And also Devil Mario and Sonic.exe playing into the whole, like, weird he was good but now he's bad because he was corrupted sort of thing. Which is like, come on, it's Beck Noir versus Sonic.exe and or Devil Mario. What the fuck do you want me to say about it? And it seemed all hope was lost. Until me and a different friend, this one called Mannington, don't ask why I know so many men, we're playing through Ozdodge's route in Pester Quest, not Pester Quest, Hive Swap, Friendsim. We're playing Ozdodge's route in Friendsim, and frickin' we were making a shitload of Dragon Ball jokes. And then a random revelation hit us. So let me tell you a tale really quick. In a world unlike our own, there exists a being fated to bring calamity and chaos across all the universe. It kills without reason and does so in mass, leaving no one spared across miles. One that it gets its strength from the heroes trying to stop it. One that killed the person that held it on a leash, allowing it to run wild with no consequence and no one with the ability to stop it. The heroes that fight it fear it and spend all the time they don't know they have planning out ways to deal with it, until it wastes them in its wake. A being that can put its arms in the air and lay waste to an incomprehensible amount of people. And yet, through all of that blood and death and chaos and evil, there's still the slightest bit of good inside. One that refuses to allow them to kill or truly harm one person, just because of the kindness that person showed them. Or at least a part of them. This isn't actually a tale. It's just a dramatic recap of the connections to Noir versus Majin Buu. Now that I got all that thematic stuff out of the way, holy shit, this matchup is really fucking cool. It's really fucking cool. It's really cool. And that's all I have to say about it, because come on. It's Majin Buu versus Noir. I don't need to say more other than what I've already said. So instead, what I am going to say is that you've probably seen a lot of like quirky, funny visual things, and that dramatic recap is one of them. I edited that before I edited any of the other quirky visual stuff, because I had the idea to do it, didn't want to lose that idea, so I did it now. And it was probably not worth it, but I think it turned out pretty cool. Let me know what you think about it. So it turns out PM also has a matchup, and it's Sephiroth. I assume, apparently, I asked my friend who made the idea what it was, and it stems from, like, you know, there's good Sephiroth theory. So there's like a second Sephiroth that's not evil and good, and that's what PM is, but to Noir. So yeah, here we go. PM versus Noir. What? Dog Scratch versus Feathery and Umineko. This truly is the statement man versus statement woman of all time. I know I said I'm not big on Homestuck versus Umineko, and I still stand by that. But I will say, this matchup is really fucking funny, because what do you mean these two are overpowered as shit, and it's all through fucking statements, because they only ever do like 2 things at most. Calliope versus Mori Calliope. They have Calliope in their name. I don't really know what the fuck you do for Callie, even. I mean, there's probably a character that fits her, considering she's a chronically online lore keeper who loves cosplay and control Sona. But like, versus-wise, she really doesn't do anything outside Alt Calliope, and Alt Calliope is a different person altogether, who it also doesn't have too much to work with, because we don't really know what she does fully. And also, cosplaying or troll Sona might constitute blackface in certain places. Which, you know, considering VTuber culture, is probably fitting for Mori Calliope. Okay, if you're a Homestuck fan, but not a Death Battle fan, let me tell you how Death Battle fans see Lord English. You know how 3 squared is 9? That's Lord English. Now imagine someone looks at 3 squared, and then they say it's 6. The people in this case is every single Death Battle fan, and 3 squared is Lord English. Now, no one actually knows what the fuck a Lord English is, and the reason I know this is because I've seen Lord English a bajillion times in like the Death Battle community, and never once has a single of his matchups I've seen thematically mention Calliope or Caliborn. The twist that frickin' Yu was Caliborn frickin' got me, because I never heard of those fuckers in my life. So like when it showed up, I was like, holy shit, he was Lord English. Lord English was literally talking to the Alpha Kids the entire time. Holy shit. And then he spoke, and it was funny, and it was freaking awesome. But because, you know, I established that, obviously, a good amount of Lord English matchups suck, because most of them boil down to raw, big, strong guy hits super fucking hard. Which, yeah, that's Lord English, but that's not Caliborn, and Caliborn is Lord English. So freaking, like, it kind of just is super buff reality punch guy, and doesn't talk about a major fucking character because he's a major character. It doesn't talk about the major character of Lord English, and just focuses on what the Lord English part of him is. So if you want to do a good Lord English matchup, just make it Caliborn. Genuinely, just do that. Caliborn has a couple matchups from the 3 people that I've actually read Homestuck. My personal favorite, and probably the best one, is Bill Cipher. Because they're massive fucking losers who are super strong reality guys, and fucking, and you know that they're like overarching threats across the entire series, who endanger the fabric of existence, and also something they mind hacks the populace or whatever the fuck. It's cool. It's a cool idea. It's probably the best way to do a Lord English idea. It's probably the best one, actually. Just do Caliborn. You know, people need to start talking about Caliborn. You're not allowed to talk about Lord English matchups if you don't know what a Caliborn is. I'm setting that rule right now. Ultimate Dirk versus Proto Michael. It's every Dirk merged into one versus every Michael merged into one. I feel like Homestuck and Yeek is a very funny series pairing. And my friend, I explained what Ultimate Dirk was to my friend, and his immediate response was, "This is just a character from Yeek." Now we're here. Andrew Hussey versus Scott Cawthon, specifically from FNAF World, because they self-insert themselves into the story, and then their creations literally kill them. I don't frickin' know anymore, man. It's a funny, and I don't fucking know. And finally, Dave Petta versus Omnimon, baby. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Me when I'm a fusion. Me when I'm a fusion of two awesome things, and I'm awesome. And I save it all. I save the frickin' world. I save the day. I kill the guy. I'm awesome. Let's fucking go. Let's go. It's fucking awesome. It's Dave Petta, baby. Let's fucking go. Okay, that's it. That's the video. It's here, finally. Thank you for watching. If you're a Death Battle fan, I hope I convinced you that Homestuck is pretty swaggy. If you're a Homestuck fan, I hope you understand Death Battle culture more, and hope to, you know, frickin' be more invested in it. And if you happen to work for Death Battle or the HICU or the Hiku, hi. Y'all should collaborate. That'd be cool. Frickin', I don't know, Stuck at Home Con is frickin' I don't know when. That'd be a cool collab. Y'all are in your like mega indie era where like you just collab with shit, cause frickin' why not? It'd be fire. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you when it's time for me to make the frickin' Athena P Pokemon video. Later, gamer.